Hello, this is Bob, and I'll be reading the Tuesday, August 13th, 2024 edition of the Fall River Herald News. Today's weather will be partly sunny, 79-86 for a high, 58-65 for a low. Wednesday will be mostly sunny, 81-88 for a high, 58-65 for a low. Thursday there may be a brief shower or two, 78-85 for a high, 60-67 for a low. Friday we return to partly sunny skies, but it'll be humid, 78-85 for a high, 61-68 for a low. And Saturday's looking for the possibility of some showers around, 77-84 for a high, 64-71 for a low. The sun rose this morning at 5:51 and it sets tonight at 7:47. The first article on the front page is entitled, State Makes Community College Free. Bristol says program puts career change within reach. Though only a week old, the state's new Mass Educate program offering free tuition at all state community colleges has already gained significant interest at Bristol Community College. Kate O'Hara, Vice President of Student Services and Enrollment Management at Bristol, said the college is already preparing for fall and spring admissions with the program in mind. She said being able to start a degree debt-free is a major win for people in the South Coast who may have felt a secondary education was beyond them. Mass Educate can put new fields of study or new careers within reach. Students and families so often associate college with debt that people stay away, O'Hara said. So now, free college brings people to the door. On July 29th, Governor Maura Healey signed into law the state's $57.78 billion fiscal 2025 budget, which includes $93.5 million for the Mass Educate program. Mass Educate is funded by the Fair Share Amendment, known commonly as the Millionaire's Tax. Voters in 2022 approved levying an extra 4% tax on incomes over $1 million to be spent on education and transportation. The program makes community college free at the point of service for all 15 schools statewide. It also offers a $1,200 stipend for books and supplies for students who meet income guidelines. It builds off Mass Reconnect, a program begun in 2023 that provided free community college to those aged 25 or older without a degree. Mass Educate closes that gap between high school and age 25. Who can use the Mass Educate program? Well, here are some rules. You have to be a Massachusetts resident for at least 1 year. You must have a high school diploma or equivalent. You cannot already have earned a bachelor's degree or higher. You must enroll in at least 6 credits towards an eligible associate's degree or certificate program. And you must maintain good academic standing with the school, O'Hara said. At Bristol, 6 credits is about 2 classes a semester. That's manageable for most local students who take advantage of the program who may be working or raising kids. With that 6 credits, they don't need to come in and feel overwhelmed with a full-time course load, O'Hara said. They can try a couple of courses. For some, the stereotypical college experience means partying or slacking off. With no direct financial risk involved, people might wonder if those taking advantage of Mass Educate would do the same. Why take classes seriously if they don't cost you money? Based on data from a year of Mass Reconnect, O'Hara said, we're actually seeing the opposite. It's allowing students to focus on doing their coursework, not worrying about picking up an extra shift to pay tuition or how to fit in work hours and studying, said O'Hara. She said the past year of Mass Reconnect showed that students who used that program were committed to their studies. Bristol serves a diverse population of lower-income students, adult learners, first-generation college students, often with multiple jobs or family responsibilities. With one less burden of paying tuition, she said, they felt getting a better education was finally doable. Students who are really trying to better their lives, that's the whole point of Mass Educate and Mass Reconnect, O'Hara said. We're trying to better our communities and educate our workforce, and really give back to our communities by upscaling and educating. We're finding that people truly want to do better for their families and earn a better wage, and maybe find a career change. Those with only associate's degrees can also use the program. This opens the door for people looking to change careers in nursing, business, cybersecurity, or other programs needed in the local workforce. For those looking to transfer to a four-year college, paying nothing for the first 2 years of schooling can mean significant savings, O'Hara said. Students and families, the number one thing is they don't want to graduate with debt, O'Hara said. They don't want to be saddled with that right when they're starting out. For those that want to transfer, they can save tens of thousands of dollars if they do those first 2 years at Bristol Community College and then transfer. It's the same degree at the end. O'Hara said students who want to use the Mass Educate program should fill out the FAFSA, or Federal Application for Federal Student Aid, and apply to a degree or certificate program. She said Bristol has a program where students meet with an advisor to tease out their goals, whether that's a job or a 4-year degree, and determine what students need to stay committed. One less thing to worry about is how they'll be able to pay the bill. I think this is going to be the most monumental thing I do in my entire career, she said. I can't imagine anything bigger than this. The second front page article is titled, Somerset Berkeley Soccer Goalie Zachary Dean Dies of Cancer. Zachary Dean's love for the sport of soccer spoke volumes. Most importantly, he had an endless will to leave it all on the field for his teammates. The Somerset junior varsity goalie spent months fighting the biggest battle of his life, stage 4 cancer, at Hasbro Children's Hospital in Rhode Island. His fight ended on Saturday afternoon, passing away quietly, surrounded by family and close relatives. He was just a normal young man doing his thing and being a teenager, said a tearful Nancy Remy, Dean's oldest aunt. He was a very quiet kid, but he touched a lot of lives. It is exhausting on all levels. It really makes you think, don't take things for granted. Dean, 17 years old, was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of cancer called rhabdomyosarcoma. It started with a mass on his prostate and spread to his bones, lungs, and spine. He underwent countless chemotherapy and radiation sessions with his family close by his side. On news of his passing, Somerset Berkeley Regional High School posted this message on its Facebook page. The Somerset Berkeley Regional and Somerset Public Schools extend our deepest sympathies to the family and friends of Zachary Dean, class of 2025, who fought a courageous battle with cancer. Our counseling staff will be available on Monday, August 12th at SBRHS between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. for those students wishing to come together or seek counseling. Dean was always a team-first player on the soccer pitch. Raiders boys varsity coach David Gleason said Dean's long-lasting passion for soccer began in the town leagues when he was young. Zach was an amazing kid, great student athlete, and an excellent soccer player, Gleason said. He was a great teammate, and he is loved by all his teammates. Dean, who was a big Manchester United fan, was recently visited in the hospital by several members of the New England Revolution soccer team who presented him with a ball and other mementos. That brought a smile to his face. Gleason said Dean had been a goalkeeper in the program for 2 seasons. Last season, he was the first player to sign on in their Player of the Match game ball for his excellent play in goal. He was awarded Most Valuable Player for his excellent season. Beside being a leader in goal, Dean also contributed 4 goals on the offensive end. He is a team-first player, and he always shows up to the field with a smile on his face, Gleason said. He's a great young man. The Somerset Berkeley boys soccer team, the 2023 South Coast Conference champions, organized a car wash fundraiser on Saturday morning, hours before Dean passed away. This was at Rose E. Sullivan Funeral Home to support the family and his fight against cancer. The donation was $10 per vehicle, and customers received a yellow bracelet that states, "No one fights alone, Zachary Strong." Senior Captain Christian Souza said Dean always put the team first before himself. "It means a lot," said Souza when asked what the car wash event meant to him. "The poor kid, no one deserves to go through something like this. To go through this, young too, and at the stage that he's at. We wanted to do anything we could to help him. We're like a family, and he's one of our brothers." The 4-hour event raised nearly $3,400, with all the proceeds going to Dean's family. A GoFundMe campaign organized by Dean's aunt, Valerie Guillemette, was recently set up to support his family and his fight against cancer. It has raised over $24,800 as of Monday morning. Dean was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in April. His dad, Jason, was still recovering from a stroke he'd suffered in February 2023 when the terrible diagnosis was made. Jason had to be hospitalized in early April from complications of the stroke. Dean's mom, Ashley, had to be the caregiver to her husband while staying in the hospital with her son day and night. "We fought for him," Remy said. "He was truly a good person. We all wanted the best." Dean's goal was one day to make it back on the soccer field with his friends and teammates. One thing that can be stated loud and clear, he did not go down without a fight. He was always trying to be positive, sort of like an inspiration, Remy said. You can kind of see that in his fighting. Zachary Dean blessed those around him and displayed the ability to love all. His legacy and spirit will never die. There were 2 other obituaries in today's paper. The first, Peter P. DePaulo, 93, passed away peacefully on August 9, 2024, with loved ones by his side. He was the loving husband of the late Barbara A. Whittinger DePaulo. Peter was born at Fall River and was the son of the late Antonio DePaulo and Angelina DePaulo. Peter was a 1948 graduate of Durfee High School and went on to graduate with his master's degree from Brown University in foreign language. He taught foreign language studies at Classical High School in Providence, Rhode Island for over 40 years, where he served as head of the foreign language department and was proficient in 8 languages. Peter was also known for his time working alongside his brother at the Viking Pharmacy in Fall River. Peter loved music and was a talented pianist. Above all, Peter was best known for his lifelong passion for charitable work and was always involved with local events. He enjoyed taking care of his community and was always willing to help others. He will be fondly remembered as an easygoing man who was always there if you needed him and with a smile on his face. Peter is survived by his beloved sister-in-law Patricia DePaulo of Fall River and nephews Stephen T. DePaulo and John D. P. DePaulo. Peter was preceded in death by his siblings. Relatives and friends are invited to attend a time of visitation on Thursday, August 15th, 2024, from 4 to 7 p.m. in the Hathaway Home for Funerals, 1813 Robeson Street in Fall River. His funeral will be held on Friday, August 16th at 9 a.m. from the funeral home, with Mass of Christian burial to follow at 10 a.m. in Holy Name Church in Hanover Street, Fall River. Entombment will follow in the Notre Dame Cemetery in Fall River. In lieu of flowers, please consider a contribution in Peter's memory to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, 501 St. Jude's Place in Memphis, Tennessee. The family would like to extend much appreciation and gratitude to all the nurses and staff at St. Anne's Hospital who lovingly took care of him over the last 6 weeks. For online family register, please visit www.hathawayfunerals.com. The other obituary that is in today's paper is that of Louis P. Furtado, 102 years old, husband of the late Maria de Concheco Furtado. He passed away peacefully surrounded by family on August 8, 2024 at Kimwell Nursing Home. Born in St. Vincent, St. Michael Azores, son of the late Manuel Furtado and Maria Amaral, he served in the Portuguese army, driving motorcycles with sidecars for the commander, and emigrated to Fall River in 1967. A machinist for many years at Quaker Fabric, he worked prior to that at Providence Pile, retiring in 1984. An inventor, master of all crafts, skills, and talents, including electrician and welder, he designed and erected wrought iron fencing and church bell towers. He also enjoyed fixing watches, clocks, and designing and building pressers for winemaking. Founder of Our Lady of Light Band, he enjoyed playing trombone, teaching music, and tuning pianos. He leaves 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren, and many nieces and nephews. The funeral will be on Friday at 9 a.m. from Silva Faria Funeral Home, 730 Bedford Street, with Mass in Espirito Santo Church at 10 a.m., cremation to follow. Calling hours are Thursday from 6 to 8. In lieu of flowers, donations to a charity of one's choice. To ensure family receive online condolences, submit only to funeral home website www.silvafaria.com. This next article is from USA Today. January 6th rioter says she'll be supporting Harris. She calls Capitol attack the worst day in our history. Pamela Hemphill's Christmas present from her brother in 2021 was flying out to Washington from her hometown in Boise, Idaho, to see Donald Trump hold his Stop the Steal rally at the Ellipse on January 6th. Hemphill, 71, who voted for the former president in 2016 and 2020, told USA Today she'd only seen Trump's rallies on television before January 6th and thought they looked peaceful. But that day in D.C., she said, felt different. Arriving at the rally late, Hemphill said she heard from different people Trump would be going to the Capitol while lawmakers were certifying votes that would finalize President-elect Joe Biden's victory in the 2020 election, and that a crowd would be going with him to protest the results. A few weeks before the riot, Hemphill said she had undergone breast cancer surgery. Holding a phone strapped to a selfie stick, Hemphill, surrounded by other Trump supporters and far-right extremist groups, including the Proud Boys, videotaped the riot as she walked inside the Capitol and was later escorted out by law enforcement. That decision led to her being sentenced to 2 months in jail, 36 months of probation, and $500 restitution after pleading guilty to 1 misdemeanor count of parading, demonstrating, or picketing in the Capitol building. Since then, her attitude has changed. Today, she calls January 6th the worst day in our history. And she's planning to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic nominee in the general election. We've got to save our democracy because Trump wants to turn this into a dictatorship, said Hemphill, a retired substance abuse counselor. The only time Hemphill had voted for a Democrat was in the 2008 election for former President Barack Obama. I liked the policies he was talking about at the time, and he's just very intelligent. I just thought he would be good for the country. And you know, it's the first time we had a person of color, she said. But Hemphill said she usually votes for whoever her mostly Republican-supporting family recommends. Her family, drawn to Trump's rallies and messaging, drew Hemphill in as well. I didn't realize that brainwashing was happening with Trump in 2016. This is how they would talk to me. Pam, you know, the Democrats, they're trying to take over. They're getting more aggressive. I tended to believe them. You know, I wasn't doing my own research. Hemphill said that Trump's aggressive rhetoric on the border appealed to her at the time because he had us believing that immigrants were criminals and out to take over our nation. Trump called immigrants from Mexico rapists in 2015 and would use words such as killer, invasion, and alien in his rallies as a way to stoke fear among his supporters and present himself as the prime candidate to solve the border issue. Sunmin Kim, an associate professor of sociology at Dartmouth College, said she sees Trump supporters as people who are afraid, people who are wary of losing control in their lives as the society and the economy transform. All of these factors contribute to the feelings of powerlessness among his supporters, and they want an answer, she added. Immigrants are an easy scapegoat. The evening before January 6th, Hemphill attended an event hosted by far-right radio host Alex Jones, where she was heard saying, "Let's go to the Capitol, and don't worry, Trump's coming in office," in a video she uploaded on her YouTube account, according to a court document. She also advised others to occupy the Capitol, the document says. "It's like a scar that I have to carry for the rest of my life. It's going to be that shameful feeling," she said. "It's not like I knew I was breaking the law, and I broke it anyway. However, I still was a part of that craziness, that cult. So it's like something I can't brush off." She said coming across facts by researchers helped her gradually drift away from the MAGA group. Serving time in prison made Hemphill also rethink who Trump really was and the misinformation he spread surrounding the 2020 election, she said, to the point where she lost all support for him. In an open letter to Congress, Hemphill wrote that, quote, "I am not a victim of the government. The Justice Department was not weaponized against me. I was a participant who broke the law," end quote. Hemphill also called out Trump last year after he shared a post on Truth Social criticizing her sentencing as unfair. "Please don't be using me for anything," she wrote in a tweet directed at Trump. "I'm not a victim of January 6th. I pleaded guilty because I was guilty." Trump has continued to deflect blame over the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. During the first presidential debate in Georgia in June, Trump falsely claimed that former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi rejected his request to deploy the National Guard troops that day. This coming election, Hemphill said, will have a profound consequences for democracy. She referred to Project 2025, an extensive 920-page policy plan put together by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank that aims to reshape the federal government. Though Trump has distanced himself from the project, which critics have called authoritarian, many officials from his previous administration helped work up the plan. The former president, along with being convicted on 34 counts in May for falsifying business records to conceal hush money payments, faces 3 other criminal indictments, 2 of which are tied to his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. On the campaign trail, he has called for retribution and told his supporters that, quote, "They're not after me, they're after you, and I just happen to be standing in the way," end quote. Trump makes you believe he's a warrior who is willing to lose his life if needed to keep the radical left from taking away your freedom, Hemphill said. But pushing back against Trump has frayed some of Hemphill's relationships. She says her boyfriend of 12 years left her because of her political shift. She says she's also faced death threats and smear campaigns. "It's scary, but it's my way of making amends to the country for even being there." Next article is entitled, Minnesota Boosted Services to Undocumented Under Waltz. This from the Arizona Republic USA Today network. Vice President Kamala Harris chose a popular politician from a border state as her running mate for the Democratic presidential ticket in November. Just not that border. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has led a progressive state government pushing several immigration priorities through a Democratic-controlled legislature that expanded state services to undocumented residents. That includes expanding driver's licenses in 2023 to all Minnesota residents, regardless of immigration status, joining 20 other U.S. states and territories that also provide driver's licenses to all residents. The move was expected to benefit approximately 81,000 undocumented immigrants in the state. Ensuring drivers in our state are licensed and carry insurance makes the roads safer for all Minnesotans, Waltz said at the time. Additional changes during the legislative session included expanding in-state tuition to all low-income Minnesota students, including undocumented youth. The legislature also allowed undocumented immigrants to access Minnesota Care, the state's publicly subsidized health insurance program for low-income residents. At the federal level, Walz has voiced support for providing Dreamers, undocumented immigrants brought into the country as children, a legal pathway to remain in the U.S. As a member of Congress, he criticized many of former President Donald Trump's border and immigration policies. Earlier this year, the Minnesota governor backed an executive action President Joe Biden issued to stem migrant crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border. He also supports a bipartisan border agreement negotiated in part by Senator Kyrsten Sinema, an independent from Arizona. Trump opposed the bill and it failed to gain traction in Congress. Waltz spoke to CNN earlier this month, casting the blame for the bill's failure on Trump. My neighbors, whether Republican or Democrats, don't want to demonize our neighbors. They just want a safe border, Waltz told Anderson Cooper on August 1st. Harris has got a plan. The Langford-Sinema bill was a big key to it, and Donald Trump doesn't want it. He thrives on chaos. Reactions to the announcement of Waltz as Harris's vice president candidate fell along ideological lines among border and immigration advocates. Bisbee, Arizona, Mayor Ken Budge, who last month endorsed Harris along with several other of the state's border mayors, said picking Waltz was good news for border communities. Waltz understands the needs of border communities and supports common-sense solutions that work, like the bipartisan border deal that would have made a big difference in Arizona, Budge told the Arizona Republic in a statement. The Trump campaign, which has once again made border issues a centerpiece of his candidacy, said Harris's decision to choose Waltz as a running mate reinforced their message that she was running a far-left and dangerously liberal campaign that sought to facilitate migrant crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border. They accused Waltz of supporting sanctuary city policies. And that just about brings us to the end of our time. Once again, today's weather will be partly sunny, 79 to 86 for a high, 58 to 65 for a low. And tomorrow, Wednesday, will be mostly sunny, 81 to 88 for a high, 58 to 65 for a low. This has been Bob reading the Tuesday, August 13th, 2024 edition of the Fall River Herald. Thank you very much for listening, and have a pleasant day.